So you can see that, guys?
Yes.
See where we are? I bet you don't see where we are. Let me see where we are. Here we go.
Pair of underpants.
The Dayton
We are.
Club.
I know, this is brilliant. This is the Dayton Daily News. So we're up here on page 10 of the Dayton. Oh, look at this girl's face. And this is one of the joys of looking through, looking for this sort of like information, trying to track down the truth, is you have to spend a lot of time in old newspaper archives and this stuff. And these are really nice to look at. But basically, I'm introducing you to a name here. This is 1954, and here you see John Pottinger. Now we're talking about John Stanley Pottinger, and John Stanley Pottinger went by the name Stanley Pottinger. His father was also called John Pottinger, and this is that John Pottinger. And John Pottinger was an insurance man. He was also part of the Dayton Rotary Club, amongst other things. And as you go through time, in 1953, they're talking about John Pottinger here in the Dayton Daily News. Again, they're talking a lot about John Pottinger in Dayton, because that's where he's based and that's where Pottinger was brought up. And here it says, like, you see John Pottinger of 121 S. Del Mar, they used to give them the address in the newspapers back then, has a boat, entered in the regional sailboat races a Sandusky Saturday. Pottinger will be bidding for one of 15 top positions, and this is something that comes up over and over again. Now, his family was originally from Racine. I think that's how you say it, Racine, Wisconsin. But this is something you'll see. Another theme you'll see. John Pottinger liked to sail. He was a yachtsman, and he used to take young John Jr., which I don't think he was called John Jr. I think they could just called him Stanley Pottinger. He used to take young J. Stanley Pottinger out on his sailboating trips. But by the time he was 48 in 1958, John Pottinger dies after heart surgery. Now, there's quite a lot in the article that explains about who Pottinger is, and at this point in 1958, his son, Stanley Pottinger, is going to Harvard. So he's in Harvard at this point, studying law and starting to study law. And he had just gone he had just traveled around. I think they had actually gone to Soviet Russia in a yacht, had sailed to Soviet Russia in a yacht just the same year as this. And when they had returned, John Stanley Pottinger was giving speeches to a room full of adults. I think it says a room full of adults, this young boy who was about 17 at the time, about what it was like behind the Iron Curtain. So obviously there's not many people who are taking their yacht and sailing during the peak of the Cold War, 1958, from America over to Soviet Russia. Do you know any who just that's something we're going to do and go back and no one's going to question it? By 1958, so by the end of 1958, he dies. He was actually, look at this, Pottinger was the fourth city commissioner of Dayton to die in office, which is
I saw this in your article, Johnny. I thought this was incredible. I was like, the fourth one?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
what's going on in that job?
Well, his son eventually breaks this by being the fifth person to pretend to have died in office, in a sense. So we'll get to that eventually. Yeah, isn't it interesting? But this is a very interesting. I mean, he's a very interesting person. And now, if we go down to the bottom here in this article that announces his death. Yeah, and try not to look at the grimacing child over there with the black eye. He looks like he's been in trouble. It says here. This is talking about John Pottinger.
Like to Epstein's Island.
Yeah. Okay, let's pull him out there. Let's get him out there. You did. Now he's back at Epstein's Island. Okay.
The irony is his name was LaFresh, but he didn't look that fresh.
No.
Yeah. Oh, McLeFresh. What a name, Jim McLeFresh. Okay. Anyway, let's not look at McLeFresh. We got lots to go through. He's just a distraction. He's probably dead by now. Anyway, I know, but it's 1958. He must be about 6. I can't even imagine. No, he's about 17.
Great name.
Yeah, I know. I might contact him after this and say, hey, you were in our thing. So they're saying John Pottinger was active in the Rotary Club Dayton City Club, Chamber of Commerce, Dayton Better Business Bureau, Shrine Club. He was a member of the F&AM, John Durst, they spell it wrong, John Durst Lodge, Scottish Rites, and had been a past president of this and that. Do you understand what any of that means there? Because F and M means he's a Freemason. The John Durst Lodge is his lodge that he belongs to, and Scottish Rite means he's a 32nd degree or above Freemason who he was also Bohemian Grove. So Stanley Pottinger's father was a very connected man. There he is, and he kind of looks like McLeFresh, does Bob Manick. Anyway, this is Stanley Pottinger's father. Very serious guy, and they mention him about his role and what he did. Characteristically, Mr. Pottinger undertook the surgery that was to prove fatal on the gambler's chance. So obviously he was a bit of he was known to be a bit of a guy who would test out his luck, and eventually he died.